internet. Today I want to do my TBRs for the 2 readathons that I am planning on participating in this month. The first one is the Tome Topple Readathon, and it takes place from April 7th to April 20th. It's a 2-week-long readathon, and the idea is to read tomes, which are books over 500 pages. The second readathon that I'm going to participate in this month is Dewey's 24-hour readathon, which is April 29th, and the idea is to read as much as possible in a 24-hour time span. So I'm going to start with my TBR for Tome Topple Readathon since it's happening first. And there are 5 challenges for this readathon, and I think my TBR hits 4 of those 5 challenges. So the first book for my Tome Topple Readathon TBR, it's a book that I'm very, very intimidated by. It's on my top 10 to read in 2017 list, and it's one of those books where I feel like if I don't find an excuse to read it, then I'm gonna end up pushing it off until like the end of the year. And it's a book that I really want to read. I'm not saying I don't want to read it, it's just very, very intimidating. And that book is A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. I love the Game of Thrones TV show, but I really do want to read the books and see the differences, see if I prefer the books over the TV show. But it's just so freaking big. This book is 807 pages. So I did want to start the series this year, and like I said, I feel like if I don't find like an excuse to read this first book, then I'm going to end up pushing it off until like the end of the year, and then I'm going to be like, crap, I have to read that still. So this is a good opportunity for me to get this out of the way. I am very intimidated by it, but I'm excited to start reading it. So we'll see how it goes. This works for the challenges of read a tome that's part of a series and read an adult novel. So works for 2 of the challenges. Also on my TBR is a book that I've put on a couple of TBRs before and I just never got to it, so I really do want to read this book because I really am excited to read this book, and that book is Americana by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. And I've put this on a couple of Diversathon TBRs and I just never got to it, but this book is 588 pages, so it's almost 600 pages, and I've just heard really great things about this book. So I want to read it, and it's extremely diverse, and Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie is awesome, and I want to read more from her. So I'm looking forward to getting into this one as well. And this book also takes care of the challenge also to read an adult novel, but also one of the challenges is to read more than 1 tome, so there's 2 of them. And the last book for my Tome Topple Readathon is a book that I just actually bought yesterday, and it was because I bought it specifically for this readathon. One of the challenges is to read a graphic novel, and graphic novels are still very, very new to me. It's a genre that I haven't really explored a lot yet, but I want to give it a chance. So I did want to seek out a graphic novel that would work for this readathon, but I went to Barnes & Noble and I just kind of looked at the graphic novel section looking for something long enough to work for the readathon, and this one looked very intriguing. It's called Blankets by Craig Thompson, and it's huge. I think it's almost 600 pages, and I don't know anything about the plot of this one, but I know that it is a romance. It just looked very intriguing. The art style is all black and white, it looks like. All of the blurbs on the back are just, that's basically the reason I bought it, was because of the blurbs on the back. It's blurred by Joss Whedon and Neil Gaiman and Stephen Chbosky, and so I ended up getting it. And then when I went on Goodreads to add it to my want to read shelf, a lot of the people that I follow on there said that this was one of the best graphic novels they've ever read, and just really high praising things like that. So I am looking forward to getting into this, even though I don't really know what it's about other than a romance. And this is especially going to be good. The reason I definitely wanted to do the graphic novel challenge was because, especially with like Game of Thrones, I feel like I'm going to need breaks from that, and so this is going to be really good to kind of break up during that book sometimes. Just kind of get a break from the intense high fantasy and read a little bit of this, and then I can go back to it. So yeah, I picked this up yesterday to use for the readathon, and I hope that I enjoy it. So now on to my TBR for Dewey's 24-hour readathon. I've participated in this readathon twice. It's always on a Saturday. I don't really talk a whole lot about work on my channel because I really want to keep like my work life and this very separate. I don't really want y'all to know where I work, but I do work in retail. And if you know anything about working in retail, Saturdays are usually your busiest day because that's when everybody has time to go shopping. I'm not going to have a whole lot of time to read. Like, even though I don't know my schedule for that week, I know I'm going to be working I know it's going to be a long day, but I still want to participate. And so what I've been doing the past couple of times is I just kind of like read a little bit of whatever I'm reading at that time, but I want to do something different this time. Instead of doing that approach, I've put a bunch of really short books on my TBR specifically to read that day, and I'm kind of hoping maybe that'll inspire me to try and read a little more during that day if I'm like completing books because they're short. So I have 3 on my TBR. The first one is Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur, I think is how you say this name, and this is a poetry collection. Poetry is a genre that I want to try and start getting into. I've never read just like a collection of poetry before, but I always did really enjoy like studying poetry when we would do it in like high school and stuff, and so I want to try to start reading some volumes of poetry because I think it's a genre that I would enjoy. And this one is very, very popular, so I decided to start with this one, and it's pretty short. I think, especially since, you know, the pages just have poems on them, I feel like I can read this in like half an hour. So I put this one on my TBR for that day. And then I have 2 more books on my TBR for the day of Dewey's, and they're both really, really tiny, and they're books that I really, really need to get read, and that is Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them and Quidditch Through the Ages, which are the like Hogwarts companions. I bought these a long time ago at Half Price Books, and I just had them on my Harry Potter shelf, you know, because they were like companions to the series, and I never read them. I just had them because, and then once I started separating my books from read and to be read, it bugged me because these are the only Harry Potter books that are not on my Harry Potter shelf because I technically haven't read them. So they're both like super tiny, so there is no reason why I can't get these read that day. And if I can knock out both of these and the poetry book that day, I will have read 3 books in one day. So that's gonna make me feel really good. So that's it for my TBRs for both of those readathons. Let me know in the comments if you're participating in either of them and what your TBR is if you are, and wish me luck. That will be it for this video, and I will see you guys next time with another video.